Welcome back. It's the Wine and Dime Pod, the podcast where we drink wine and talk hoops. I'm Chris and that's Lyndsay. We have a bottle of El Goru, the mad hairy fella, for those who are able to watch us on YouTube. He is, in fact, a pretty hairy looking dude.
Yeah.
Pretty good Spanish wine, I gotta say, from the area around Valencia, I believe you said.
Yeah, for us, Spanish is
Jumilla.
terrible. It's a DO that's kind of like really close to the Valencia area. This was inspired by Agua Fam and Valencia taking home, I think they won the Spanish League, I believe was the trophy they just took home. Agua Fam, obviously the number 1 overall pick and not the one, she was number 2 overall pick by Seattle this last year. Yeah, super exciting to see her come. She 2 or 3, I don't know. But Seattle took her high in the draft, and they're excited for her to get over here. And so we decided to do some. This is a muscular wine, as it was described, and I mean, I would say it's apt based on my first sip. She's pretty big. Monastrell, Syrah, Petit Verdot are not light grapes traditionally.
Speaking of muscularity, the WNBA is trying to legislate some physicality out of the game.
They
They're
sure
trying
are.
to play with a tight whistle. There's been a lot of free throws in the early going of the season.
Trying to play with more finesse, as we would say in the wine world, a little less like, muscle in this case, a little less power, which has been less fun to watch. As a consumer, I'm not enjoying that. I like robustness, as we've talked about. We like a wine with shoulders.
Yeah, a full shouldered red
wine
is what we're looking for here.
Yes, a long wingspan as well. We do appreciate. The reffing has been something to witness. A lot of whistles. Definitely, the refs are part of the game in a way that none of us would like to see.
Yeah, people are going to be knowing the names of WNBA refs soon in the way that they used to for NBA refs.
This is going to be like in the end. It's going to be like in the NFL when we had that hold on, I'm talking to America moment. We're going to have that soon, where it's going to happen. I can feel it coming. It's too bad that the refs are finally getting their time in the sun and Diana Taurasi is no longer in the league.
Oh man, but we do have Paige Beggars here. I think her spiritual successor is equipped to carry the torch and get on these refs' asses. So
this is true. When Paige
I'm excited for that era to continue to develop.
That was a pretty elite moment, offering the refs her glasses. That was pretty great.
They got a factory of those in Yukon, apparently. They just churn them out.
Yeah, which...
There are Taurasi's everywhere for those who wish to see them.
Things are going interestingly in Dallas. I guess we could probably just start there, since me speaking of Paige.
It's been some finger-pointing, and it's been 4 games. It's been 4 games.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that Spider-Man meme. Everyone's pointing at each other. It's not going so good. At first, I thought, I'm like, okay, I kind of like Jose's boldness. That's cool. Now it seems to be working against them. That's less cool. I don't know what's going on. I don't really know who the problem is.
There's been talk of a leadership void. There's been talk from the players of instructions from the coaching staff not being clear and not being prepared for certain pick and roll coverages. It hasn't looked super amazing. They're not out there getting their ass whooped. They're still 2-2, but it's not the vibe that you necessarily want early in the season. You got to hope that it smooths themselves out. And I think for a lot of college coaches adjusting to the pros, hey man, it's different. You can't just be talking to your players all kind of crazy.
Yeah, even if you're addressing it in the locker room, that's not really something you can get on the podium and say, like that early. You have, I think everyone's pointed this out. I mean, Nick Nurse kind of famously talked about how you only have so many of those bullets to shoot in a season. Like, you got to be pretty careful. And Cash had a really great piece. Her and Cynthia Cooper both had really great pieces on it on the Amazon post-game show, but the Swin Cash one got kind of cut off of the original clip, so it went around a little bit later, but she worked in the front office for the Pelicans on the coaching staff, and she in the front office, and she was kind of, putting my front office hat on here, I feel a little bit concerned about the fact that he's pulling that out, 5 games into the season, and you've only lost 2 of those games, and you lost those games by 5 points or less each. So it's not like you're even losing by a lot of points. Like, you're right there. You can't expect to be winning those games immediately. You're not. It's just not gonna. You can't always expect that to happen, especially early in the season. You're a new team, new coach, everything's new. It's gonna take a little bit to find your footing. So the fact that you're already out here calling out these things, and I just thought her perspective was really interesting and a fair one. It's very early to be kind of saying that kind of stuff to your players, especially if you have it. And there's a bit of debate. The whole AZ thing has been very loud, and I don't blame him for feeling very frustrated with that line of questioning. I think, she's a rookie point guard. It's going to take time to bust into the league. But there's also, I think, some argument about whether or not Dallas probably should have made that pick, just given the depth of the guard room already, and whether or not it was worth them maybe trading back and getting something else like a wing that they might have needed, or more depth that they might have needed or another vet perhaps, but I don't think it's anything to do with AZ, and I don't obviously it has nothing to do with her relationship with Paige, but I do think the pick was a little bit weird, and I do have another AZ question for you, but we can come back to it in a minute. It's not particularly relevant to the Wings.
Yeah, I think and the Wings are kind of an interesting case because, I mean, we talked a little bit before about how I think we thought there might be more with the free agent extravaganza, there might be more teams that look wildly dramatically different. The Wings are one of the few teams that really do look very, very different. The
Yeah,
entire front court is completely changed.
it's not
And
going great either.
yeah, I mean, that affects everything, right? And you got a couple of players who, in one case, in Jess Shepard, you have a player who's adopting to a much bigger role than she's used to. But then you also have in their starting center, a player who has very obvious strengths and very obvious weaknesses. And that can be difficult to adapt to as well. So there's a lot to figure out in Dallas, especially with a new
What
coach again.
Yeah, and, like, the returning like, Awak coming back as well also makes that weird because she's been with the team, but not this version of the team. Like, the team has changed a lot since because she was away last season, I think, for the whole season. I don't know if it's been 1 or 2 seasons, but she's been away back in Europe, and so it's kind of like, she's back now, and even though she's been on the team, she kinda hasn't been on the team, and it's a bit weird and a bit messy, and I don't know, like, I'm not trying to say, Jose needs to be fired, but a part of me hasn't seen anything from him or obviously the previous coach that makes me feel like, why did Letitia Trammell get fired? Like, I haven't seen anything from either of these previous 2 like, these 2 coaches that have come since her that makes me feel like they had to get rid of that coach. She's the one coach who actually seemed to get a lot of buy-in from Enrique. Enrique played her best defensive season that year that they did really well, and then they sucked the next year, but a big part of that was injury, I felt. And so I just I don't know, maybe I don't think she was obviously like the greatest coach to walk around. Obviously, the Wings would have been better if she was, but I still just don't know that it was like all the turnover was worth it.
Yeah, and you don't want to establish a team culture where you just got a new coach every season.
Well, yeah, like surely
Yeah.
keeping a coach who maybe she had some X's and O's and rotations errors and like whatever. There was some stuff to clean up, but like at least culturally things seemed pretty good. I think the vibes in Dallas hadn't really been better than those 2 years that she was there. Even the year that they were not going well, things seemed a little better. So it's like I feel like that can't be worse than having a new coach every single year. And especially when you have a player like Paige. That's not good. You don't want to like saddle your brat, your superstar, your I don't want to say generational because I think that term gets thrown around a lot, but you're basically like, high level, high octane superstar. You don't want to continually have coaching turnover when that happens. It's not good for them. Like, I honestly think the thing that benefited Asia Wilson for so long was having the same coach, as much as we can say what we want about Bill Laimbeer as a coach. But he was probably the right coach for her to some extent for the first part of her career, but also just that consistency matters at the end of the day, right?
It's still wild to me that Bill Laimbeer wound up
Yeah.
being an iconic WNBA coach. Of all the former NBA figures,
So weird. Not the
I
one
would 30, 40, 50 guesses I would not have
Yeah.
arrived at Bill
It'd be
Laimbeer.
pretty far down the list to pick bad
Yeah,
boy Piston Bill Laimbeer
yeah.
as iconic WNBA coach. Very strange. Yeah. But the Alana Smith point, it's funny because there's been a lot of discourse from Lynx fans going around about how what's going on in Dallas in particular is also kind of a testament to Cheryl Reeve coaching
Mhm.
because players are just never quite the same when they leave Minnesota. Like players that we all kind of wrote off seem to be incredible when they get to Minnesota. And then other players in general who've been in Minnesota and succeed when they leave, all of a sudden they're not quite as good, and I do think there's maybe a little bit to that. I think there's obviously a ton of other factors, but Cheryl Reeve's
Yeah.
obviously a very good coach. We all know
It's
that,
a very, very ornery person, very good coach.
especially Biggs. She's
Yeah.
like a miracle worker, and it was pretty tough watching the Wings just get cooked by Natasha Howard constantly in that Lynx game because Dallas was like putting belt to ass for a big chunk of that game, and then all of a sudden Minnesota like made some adjustments and Dallas just could not figure it out. So I don't know. The Wings remain a mess. It's disappointing. I was hoping for better. I hope that there's still lots of time. Thankfully, it's very early in the
Yeah.
season. There's time to turn it around. But history
Yeah, like
suggests
40 more games.
yeah, well, history suggests that they're probably going to get worse somehow, vibes wise.
Hey, they
Just
will
given
draft
it's
number 1 again. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Their baseline should be too high for that.
I think the talent is too good. They're gonna win games basically in spite of they're gonna be like the Orlando Magic where it's like they're gonna win games, but it's gonna be ugly and it's not gonna be fun for anybody.
Yeah. My suspicion is that whoever is the presumed number 1 pick next year might be moving to Houston. They might be in Houston, Texas. The Sun have not won a game. They're one of the few teams to play 5 already, and they are over.
They ain't good. Yeah. And their head
No.
coach just took a really big coaching position in Europe, which was signaling to some Sun fans that he might not be making the move to Houston with the team. I don't think that's set in stone. Nothing's been said or announced, and the team clearly seems to like him despite the fact that they're losing. But that was an interesting little wrinkle as well, was he took I think it wasn't Fenner, but it was a big program, like a very big program in Europe, so that was interesting.
Yeah. I would have loved to see the Sun look a little more competitive in their last season in
Same.
Connecticut,
I thought
go
they
out
might
swinging a
be.
little bit.
I actually thought they might be. I didn't really believe they'd be this bad.
It's I mean, this early,
The
this had some
roster's not
injuries, like, BG
great,
hasn't played every
but
game, but it's not they're not gonna touch the playoffs this year, I would be very surprised, but,
the roster
yeah,
is not
I'll be at the game in a couple months, so I'll at least get
hell yeah.
to, see them off a little bit, but, yeah, it's not looking great early for a
Yeah,
team that, is about to for a city that's about to lose their team, which is tough.
which is too bad. I mean, I guess the good news is Sun fans are dedicated fans regardless.
Yeah.
The franchise is gonna make it worth it for them to go, but
I wonder what percentage of Connecticut, like New England area based Sun fans will still be fans of the team when they're the Houston Comets versus like they're just going to be WNBA widows and try to either not have a team at all or search
feel
for
like
a
the
new
rest of us who
one.
didn't have a team have to figure it out. Yeah.
Is it going to be like a Seattle Supersonic situation where the city of Seattle was collectively like, nah, fuck them. We don't rock with them anymore. Like
Yeah,
they left. That's
maybe.
on them. We're not fans now.
Hey, if that new Upshot League is smart, I'll go put a team in Connecticut.
Perhaps. They're all in, like, WNBA markets too, which is, I think,
For
a
a
pretty smart
reason.
move. Just like
Yeah,
Greensboro and stuff like that. I think that was a pretty,
yeah,
pretty shrewd on their
yeah.
part.
I thought so too. So I feel like New England is definitely a place that could benefit from that because
Put a
they'll
team in
go off.
Providence, man. Put a team in
Yeah.
Providence. Play where the
Although
Friars play or something.
I will say this though, like women's sports fandom, like places that have like a deep history of that, it was already showing through too. Because that those the Portland Fire home games, those crowds are loud. Holy shit. I definitely thought the Moda Center might explode when Sarah Ashley Barker hit that tip in, that putback. That was crazy.
And it's been a fun start for them. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people were saying they're gonna be the worst team in the league. I know they've won 2 of their first 4. What's fun is all 4 of their first 4 games have been at home. The league really threw them a really perfect
Yep.
opportunity to sort of get that initial groundswell of support and be like, "Hey, you're playing in the Moda Center back to back to back to back. Like, we're gonna pack
Yep.
that joint. They're gonna have a good time. We're really gonna get
Well,
this fan base off and running."
and like not long after the Blazers got eliminated, so it's kind of like perfect too for fans who just want to keep the party rolling. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
more basketball. Perfect. It's actually kind of similar with the tempo too. I feel like both expansion franchises sort of benefited from that a little too, of like the fans were like already still in basketball mode because were happy because we got some postseason, and then now it's like we can just roll right into the expansion franchise.
Yeah, they can watch some
Anyone who
non-controversial,
watches,
hoopers.
yeah, for Portland fans for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's much nicer.
Guilt free hoops.
It's much nicer to watch ethical Portland basketball.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I mean, and their coach has been definitely getting some interesting buzz for his weird shoeless practices and different kind of things, but I think it's been interesting. I think it's fun to see the different philosophies that new coaches bring in, and it just sort of proves you can never tell who's gonna be a good coach and who isn't. And I mean, there's plenty
Right.
of time. The season can easily go sideways. Who knows? Right now, he's obviously getting some buzz, but it's been pretty fun to see Portland be at least exciting to watch, and like the team is giving their fans something to cheer for. And it's like, even if they don't win, they are playing a pretty exciting brand of basketball. Like they have a really interesting offense and spacing, and they're making it work. And I think it's been kind of fun. And the tempo of it also pretty fun. I think both expansion franchises have been solid to watch. You're watching them not just because they're new, but also like they're pretty good. There's stuff on the players on both teams that are worth watching, and like things that are happening. Like not Carla Lee.
Well,
Carla
she's been
Carla
hooping.
Buzz has been hooping.
She's averaging almost 20 a game in her 2 games so far. She's been hooping
Yeah,
for Portland, but yeah.
she's been hooping, and then, oh my gosh, Maria Conde in Toronto has also she
Yeah.
went, like, off the other night, and she's still been finding her way because she missed training camp and kinda came in really late because of the Spanish league end, so it's been a little bit tougher for her too, but it's been really fun to see, like, well, also just international players in general. We can kinda bring in the whole international scouting, but it seems like the teams that are winning the most this year, unless you have Stewie, I mean, actually, Global Liberty they're part of both conversations, but in particular, like, unless you have Stewie or Asia, the teams that are doing the best seem to have done a really good job with either trading for a superstar like the Dream, or international scouting has been a huge thing for the league, because as we've seen with, we just listed 2 players, Carla Late and Maria Conde, but I mean, Yuskaita in Toronto as well. She's like basically already in the starting lineup. It didn't take very long. No one knows who she is, but she's basically just another clone of Leonie Fibic, and Brondella loves those types of players. We know that. So she's going to be great. she's already making tons of plays. She's just kind of that she's giving me Gabriella Hawkes, like she just kind of does everything vibes, you know? Not too flashy, but she plays really hard. Well, and then Nogic has taken the league by storm.
Don't forget
Apparently she's
before we go back to the
Michael
international
Jordan.
players, Kiki Rice out in tempo.
Kiki
On
Rice
the
has been
tempo has
awesome.
been really good.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
only 4 games in, right? But you're averaging 50-40. Like that's
Well, and
usually rookie
Kiki
coming in first few games. You know, we got to find your footing, whatever. She's been really efficient.
I think what's been so great for Kiki is that the tempo were very intentional in who they drafted in the expansion draft in the backcourt to kind of support her with. Julie Allemond has been getting a lot of it, not like a ton of attention, but there's been a lot of just good discussion about her of like, she's nothing flashy, but she's kind of the player you need. She's
Yeah.
the glue that kind of keeps that. She always shows up. She hits the shots she needs to take. She doesn't take too many. She doesn't hog the ball. She sets everything up. She gets people in place. She doesn't turn the ball over very often. She is solid enough on defense. She's not amazing, but she's not going to get hunted. Like there's just, she's kind of a good point guard. She's nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Having her as a mentor to some extent to a player like Kiki Rice is really great. And it was funny because people asked Julie Allemond about it. And she's like, it's weird because I'm not used to being the mentor, but it's great because I'm happy that I can, you know, be that person. And as much as we've talked about everyone's joked about the Kia Nurse addition, she's actually been extremely good for the team. She
Yep.
just kind of comes in, plays solid defense, hits her shots, and is a really vocal leader. And I think that it's underrated how having a veteran on your team who's also from the city that is now a new expansion actually matters in terms of helping players get settled. Like Chelsea Late has had some awesome coverage, and she mentioned the Tempo Book Club, and she's been getting a ton of hit ups at like stuff about that. I think that that's actually a great example, though, of like a way to help your teammates feel comfortable in their new home and like actually make something feel like home in a city. And, you know, you have someone on your team who's from that place. You have no better resource. And I feel like it must make it a lot easier. Having moved to new cities, it's always nice when you have someone you can rely on. So I think it's like an underrated thing that actually just kind of helps the team a little bit. And she's genuinely been very good. This comeback against the Sparks in the first Sparks game that they couldn't quite complete. But that really started when Kia came on the floor. She just like hit 1 or 2 shots. Again, nothing too fancy, but she was just able to galvanize the team, get them in the right places. Like there's just a veteran, like a leadership voice that the team needs. And especially since it's not that there are no leaders on that team. It's just that it's, again, those expansion teams are island of misfit toy situations, right? You just have a bunch of people who've never played together. So it's been really fun to watch, and I'm really happy. The Tempo they've got lots to clean up, but I think they have lots of potential as well, and same with the Fire. But yeah, do you want to? I'll cede the floor for you to give your Nogic dissertation.
Hey, we gotta talk about.
We do need
We
to
have
talk
to
about
have a
her.
dialogue about Giovanna Nogic. All right, so
The
I kind of
truth you're
thought.
saying.
I kind of assumed that she was kind of a long shot to make the roster. Like she played in Europe. I'd heard that her stats were very nice, but she wasn't like the most decorated player coming over. Played college ball in the States. Played at Providence, if I'm not mistaken. Not a super huge program, obviously. Not a team that's out there, you know, running it and playing in like Elite Eights and shit all the time. She's coming and hooped, man. And I think the assumption when she was brought over, and this is hard because like there's just so much less exposure for North American fans to like women's European players. I think with men's, I just think we see more of their European players. Like that coverage just
Agreed.
gets to our shores a little bit more frequently, a
Well,
little bit more buzz.
I think a big part of that, though, is the NBA draft complex.
Yeah.
So, like, if you think about how we treat the NFL draft and for any and non-NFL fans, the NFL draft is like a 6-month process. Like, it takes forever because we're just locked in on college prospects for so
Right.
long. And I think a big element of that has come to the NBA. And I think that that's why we just see more coverage of some of these male European prospects. You just hear about them, especially the really, really good ones.
Yeah. It's
I
hard
think,
to even find like highlight clips sometimes. Like I
yeah,
feel like, you
no, I
know,
think
I
you're right.
remember seeing like incredibly long highlight reels of like 30-year-old Serbian point guards hitting the
Yeah.
NBA. And then I was trying to find like clips of like some of the players that Mercury brought over this offseason. I was like struggling to find like information, like struggling to find detailed stats, like scouting,
Yeah.
you know, reports, like people talking about their game on it, whether via text or video or whatever. So a lot of these players were surprised to me in terms of like maybe heard a few things about what they do, but not a lot of detail. Novic came over. She's shooting the fucking lights out. She's, you know, averaging 16 plus a game. She's had about 30 the other day, but like the handle, I think the poise on the ball, the ability to like handle pick and roll as a primary or secondary ball handler, do a little bit of playmaking. I mean, she's 28, so she is a full ass veteran, but she is playing like she's been in the WNBA for forever. And I think people maybe understate how good these European leagues are, especially since it's not like the men's leagues where the best European players, like the best ones, are just playing in the NBA. European women's ball is a little bit different because
Yeah.
the best European players are playing there, and the best American players are playing there. So these
Yeah.
European leagues they're good as hell. When you
Yeah.
get to like the top level, like the best teams, some of them are effectively WNBA teams in
No,
terms of
it's
talent.
true. It's true. I mean, I know Alina Yagapova has been kind of that like white whale for a lot of teams for a long time of being that guard that they're like, man, if we could get her here.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen now, to be honest. She's really not expressed ever really having an interest in coming to the W, and probably especially not now because she's Ukrainian. And there's a certain allegiance, obviously, to national team commitments. But it's definitely been interesting. Yeah, I think I don't know. You're onto something though. I think about we see way more men's prospects. I never really thought about it, but yeah, you definitely got me thinking about how I think NBA draft complex means that we see more of these European players, but we see them through the lens of them trying to come to the NBA.
Right.
And I wonder if a big part of that gap is that for a long time, again, to your point, the best women's European players stay overseas because they're like, the WNBA just doesn't have the same like draw. It does now to some extent. I think the salaries now are starting to compete well enough to make it worth it. And there's some measure of guarantee even with like developmental contracts now. So that's kind of interesting. But I wonder if, yeah, like draft complex isn't quite the same. And there's also fewer places to go to. So the chances of drafting a European player, like you don't really want to like waste your draft pick on that
Yeah.
necessarily, like unless you know that they're going to come over or you actually just need to spend a draft pick because you don't have space on your roster. So I think just how international prospects work with the WNBA is kind of different. And I do think, yeah, the WNBA just not being that superior league fully kind of matters. But I think this year we're starting to see the teams that they are tuned in to some extent overseas, whether it's because they just follow their own players overseas. I mean, Alyssa Thomas, right? She played with Nogic in Serbia, so it's like she knows her. And so I feel like having a player on your roster that's played overseas is probably invaluable in terms of knowing who's good and who isn't. You have
Right.
even just experience playing with them, right? You can go to AT and be like, hey, we saw this player, we really liked what we saw.
Yeah, she's been teammates with Valeria and Naya like before. Like this isn't even the
right?
first time they play together. Like,
Exactly. So it's like, hey, we saw this person. They look pretty nice. What do you think? You played with them or you played against them? Like, how do you feel about it? And like, those are valuable scouting reports too. I think the tempo, the reason they're having so much success with international players, I think it's always benefited. Like Sandy Brondello's teams have always had success with international players, obviously Australians, but even other countries. But it's just because there's always been an international focus to her game and she coaches an international team. So like a national team. So she's just going to have more, and she coached in Europe too. So she's just going to have more exposure to those teams or to those players.
I think from a fan perspective also, we'll probably get more exposure to these international players over time because not only is there just more like serious women's ball coverage in general now, I think that part of the
That
problem
too,
was that there was
for
just
sure.
a media coverage gap. But then
Yeah.
also a lot of these players now because there's more money in the W than there's ever been before. And two, because of, NIL opportunities and shit in college ball. Yeah, Nogic did play college ball in the States, but we're gonna see more and more like top, like she wasn't necessarily, I don't think, considered like generational prospect, future, top 10 pick, whatever. You're going to see more of those players who are considered that coming over and playing college ball. There's just more players
Yeah.
who are coming in, players who are like, I mean, even like Kansas State, right? We have on our team, we have a player who got drafted by the Washington Mystics a couple of years ago who was playing college ball with us. They have two players who play on the Spanish youth national teams, like at the U20 level, and have played in like the European championships and stuff. So we're
Yeah.
going to be more familiar with these international players before they hit the W because so many of them are going to be playing ball in North America before they even touch the league, as opposed to coming
Yeah.
over at
I
26,
think
27, 28, 30.
Well, and I think there's more it'll be that middle class of European players that comes to college here because the best players are still gonna be cultivated in Europe because they're still
Yeah.
gonna get the best contracts and the best treatment. But for a lot of those, like, middle class kind of players, it's gonna be, is the treatment and contract here guarantee better than going to college with NIL, like that kind of situation. So I think that's also a very good observation and probably true to some extent. I just think scouting is also changing. I think teams are. It's funny because you can kind of see two philosophies in scouting in the WNBA. Did they go to UConn, South Carolina,
Yep.
Tennessee, like insert power
Yep.
or UCLA,
The
like,
Howie Roseman method.
yeah, the flow chart of like, did they go to one of five
Yeah.
schools? Yes,
Like, oh,
draft him.
what do you think
Yeah.
about this player? He played for Georgia? Yeah, draft him.
Yeah,
Sign
and
him up.
there's that
What's his jersey
philosophy,
size?
which is how you get the Indiana, South Carolina Gamecock fever, and then there's the other teams who are like, "Okay, well, we're confident enough in our international scouting that we can let a player like Satu Sabali walk away and be fine with that because we're
Yeah.
going to double down on our no-shoulder style of basketball, find some
Yeah.
international shooters, and make it work." You
It's
know,
the
like, you
Moneyball
have
thing. It's the we have advanced
Yeah.
stats on all these players in these European leagues. Satu Sabali leaves, and you're like, okay, 6 foot plus, handle, shoot, defense. We can recreate her in the aggregate. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
gonna combine Valerian Ayayi, who has like the height length, and we're gonna take the handle shooting from Jovana Nogic, and we're just gonna like mash that together, and boom, now we have Satu Sabali. It's kind of the play.
Kind of, yeah, they
Yeah.
just and I think it was probably a fair I mean, they'll see what happens when, like, playoffs and, like, those kinds of situations come obviously too, right? Because that's when the Moneyball theory always seems to fall apart is when you the kinda, comes down to it, you need those stars, but I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, he's a huge star. Different kinda story, but it's always an interesting kinda concept and, like, team building thing, so definitely gonna be interesting to see how that kinda plays out. But going back to scouting, and I just wanted to where we move off of this, but I just had a question for you about AZ.
Okay.
Like, do you feel because my partner and I had this conversation the other day, and this is not to say that Azzy is not a good player or any of that. I just want to, like, obviously start with that. I really love her. But, like, thinking about the difference between her and other number one overall picks, like, I
Right.
I don't know that she personally, I'm not sure if I think she fits up to, like, the level, but I don't know because there's been other number one overall picks that aren't even in the league anymore, like Charlie Collier. But I don't know that all that's her fault. But I just don't
Right.
know. Like, I guess my question is, like, do you think she's actually, like, as good as a lot of other number one overall picks, or were we just blessed with like a Caitlin Page back to back, like hands down, no question, she's the number one overall pick? Because I feel like in this draft there was like 4 players who, if they went number one, I would have been like, yeah, fair.
I think so. Obviously, it's early. You know, you
No,
judge
I'm
draft
not.
picks
Yeah, and
on
I'm not
how.
trying to judge based on what's happened already. I'm just like
Oh, no,
thinking in
I'm just
general.
qualifying my statement before I get in
Yeah,
trouble.
no, yeah.
I'm just saying,
I just want to further qualify what I said.
if I'm putting my GM hat on,
Yeah,
like, and I had the number one pick, regardless of what my roster looked like, even like taking away team context or whatever, I'm probably taking Olivia Miles.
yeah,
You
that's
could
what I was
I could have
thinking.
5 guards on my team. I probably still would have taken Olivia Miles. And this is not an indictment of FUD or
No,
FAM
no,
or
no, no, no.
anybody. I just
No.
think Olivia Miles is that good.
Well,
I just
I
think she's
think,
that good.
yeah, and because I was just trying to think where I'm like, okay, like, what's that? Usually, like, a number one overall pick has, like, one thing that they're, like or more than one thing that they're, like, clearly good at, right? And that sets them above everybody else, and, like, Olivia Miles is just, like, that girl. Like, she's a 3-level scorer, she's a driver, she's, like, an offense unto herself, but without having to be a volume scorer, which is where Caitlin's obviously knock is. And so Olivia and Paige are more similar in style of play, in my opinion. I think Olivia is equally, like, as good as Paige and on that level. I think AZ's benefited from playing with players like that for most of her career, and that's not to say that she's a bad player. I just don't know that that makes her, like, the number one, because even this year at UConn, she was overshadowed by Sarah Strong.
Mhm.
And I just feel like if you're going to be, like, clearly the best player to entering the league in the draft, like, you probably shouldn't have been overshadowed on your own roster.
Yeah, her thing is supposed to be the jumper being super automatic, and she shot the absolute cover off the ball
Yeah.
these last couple seasons. But I just think that, like, my personal bias is toward creative ability.
You that
And
too.
I'm not saying that Flood doesn't have that, but I think Miles does it at such a high level that, like, even if I got guards already, I'm taking her, and
Yeah.
I might be shipping one of the guards I already got out. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
shoot,
Well, and
I might draft Olivia Miles just to not let the Lynx get her, man. Like, the
just to
rich
keep her
can't
away.
get this
I
rich.
think we can't keep letting this happen. But I
No,
think
who's
I
Sam
agree
Presti over there now? Get the fuck out of here.
I agree with you. Yeah, we need to put out a PSA when Cheryl Reeve calls to hang up the phone.
Yeah, no, no.
No, I think you're right, though. I think that if you're going to get drafted as the number one overall pick as a point guard, I don't think shooting is the skill that is like your unimpeachable, this is why we're drafting you skill, if that makes sense. Which is, again, like that was supposed to be like the thing on her. Her jumper is automatic, which obviously she'll find it in the W. I have every confidence in that. Her jumper is beautiful. But I don't think that should be like your lead characteristic unless you're fucking Steph Curry. And then you can figure it out. But she's
Yeah,
kind of not Steph Curry. And then I agree with you. I personally also lean towards the creative ability because at the end of the day, I think you can probably always develop a jump shot, but
yeah.
developing a playmaking skill is pretty hard.
I
That there's
think
a
they
certain
went.
level of vision and things like that that I think
Yeah.
she's talented, but I don't think she's like a primary playmaker. I don't really think she even had that role at UConn this year.
I think they kind of went about the mindset of like, we're a solid playoff team. What gets us to like the next level? What's our, they went need over like best player
Best
available
player
kind of thing.
available.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that they
I think they thought Paige's handle plus AZ's shot is just like, how do you
yeah.
guard that? But at the same time, I'm like, what if you had two ball handlers though? That'd be tough
Yeah,
too.
and
That'd be dope.
especially because Olivia Miles is also a very good spot up shooter. It's not
Yeah,
like she's a terrible shooter, so I
yeah.
just feel like that could have also still worked. But I do think
It's like the opposite philosophy of the San Antonio Spurs, who like
yeah,
they were
double down
like,
on it.
we can't have enough ball handlers. We want everyone on that team handles the rock. Fox, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper,
Yeah.
Wemby. They put four of them on the court at the same time. They
Well, I
all
don't
share
think
ball
it's a
handling
bad strategy
responsibilities.
when all of your guards are young,
Yeah,
and then the other one you have is pretty erratic in Enrique, right?
yeah,
So it's kind of perfect to have like that many ball handlers. And AZ's a good ball handler, but she's not Olivia Miles.
right.
And
Not a lot of
I
people
was
are.
just well, no,
She's
but
good as hell.
I was just kind of feeling like, am I crazy for maybe feeling like AZ wasn't like the surefire number one overall pick? Like, because I know I think she was a safe pick. I think
Yeah,
that there's a very good chance she's going to work out in the league and it's all going to be fine.
yeah. Because
I
shooting
think
translates. They're like she's not going to
yeah,
be a bust. If she can shoot like this, she's not going to be a bust. There's no chance.
for sure. Yeah. I just wonder if it's like given all the noise anyways that was bound to be around the team just by Paige being there, plus their relationship, plus like her being from UConn and the number one overall pick, and
Yeah.
like all of these things. A part of me just feels like the expectation is a little bit more inflated than what she actually is as a player. And I worry that stan culture and that kind of stuff is going to lead to a lot of really weird, nasty conversations.
Stan culture is arriving on WNBA shores. It has touched down. It has
Yeah.
made landfall. It's here. It's here. It was chilling over in NBA land for the last 15, but now it is slowly crept
For
across
many
the
years.
ocean. It has landed in the capital of WNBA. I haven't named it. I don't know what city that, but
Yeah. It's it's like the
Uncasville.
wherever didn't the British land in like Plymouth or some shit? Yeah.
No, Plymouth Rock landed on us. Shout out to
Okay.
Malcolm X.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
So the stan culture is the colonizers in this metaphor.
Yes, exactly. It really.
Yeah. Yeah. Stan cultures, they're slowly colonizing the NBA and or WNBA and it's fucking awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The NBA is already a settler colonial society in terms of stan culture. WNBA is unfortunately becoming that way.
I was
And
gonna say,
it's
is Stephen A the king of England now? Like, I don't know. This metaphor is getting very confusing.
getting a little weird, but whatever. Anyway, they usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The AZ thing's been interesting because I think obviously the conversation's been very loud and strange around her because there's a lot of like just people who shouldn't be talking about it. And then she has a lot of stands, which is fine. But then there's also, I'm like, I really like her, but also, I don't know. Am I crazy for thinking maybe she's not the best player in this draft? I don't know, throwing it out there. Like,
I think it's crazy, but
yeah, okay.
yeah. Well, time will tell. Maybe she'll go full Clay or even like Kaylin McBride and just be just such an undeniable movement shooter that the lack
Yeah,
of like, creativity and dynamism doesn't
yeah.
really end up hurting her.
Which is basically like the hope really at this point that she
Right.
basically becomes a Steph Curry because Steph Curry's never really been known for his playmaking fully. It's really his shooting at the end of the
But
day.
his handle is crazy. Like
His handle is crazy,
yeah,
but that's something that he developed, and I'm sure that
yeah,
if she reaches her full form, she'll develop at
yeah.
least a handle.
Yeah, because they made him play point guard at Davidson because they had that same concern. They made him.
Yeah.
He came back an extra year, played point at Davidson. I remember this from back in my high school days. That's how old Steph is, and still scoring 25 a game plus these days. But yeah, they were like, oh, people didn't think he could be a 2 at the pro level. They brought him back, made him play the point, and he was still scoring like 20 something plus a game in college. Because he's just different.
Crazy.
He's
Yeah.
just different, man.
So I think AZ, and I mean, like, I don't think that what Jose is doing is bad in terms of just trying to keep pressure off of her. Like, there's a lot being taken off her plate, and I think it's all going to work out just fine. I just no, and it's not a referendum on her as a player either. It was just a question I had kind of had because I also had that feeling a little bit just kind of creeping in where I'm like, I don't know. But there's a lot of reasons why teams draft players that don't have anything to do with anything we know about either. So I'm not going to stand here and pretend to know every reason Dallas went for her, but.
Yeah.
It also did feel a little bit like, okay, well, she went to UConn and she,
Got the natty, you know what I mean? That goes a
Yeah.
long way. But
Yeah.
before we move on from the W, we have to mention there's a certain team that is first place in the Eastern Conference. And no, I'm not talking about, there's just two teams that are tied, technically. I'm not talking about the other one, though. I'm not talking about the New York Liberty.
We
I'm
don't care
talking
about
about none other than the Chicago Sky.
Yeah, it's gone better than I anticipated until Rikia tore her ACL, and then the sky has officially fallen, and we're all sad.
Her kid was fucking hooping, too, which is a damn shame.
We
She
fleeced
was killing the
we fleeced
Mercury.
the Sparks. We fleeced the Sparks.
Yep.
So that was a win. And then she was playing amazing on top of that. So another win.
That's more wins than the Spurs have right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 2 to
Literally.
1 already.
Yeah, already. And then she tore her ACL. And now we all just want to drown ourselves in a fountain of Malort. Actually, I'd rather die
It's
than drink Malort. But anyway, I think I'd drown myself before getting to the fountain of Malort. But
yeah.
yeah, terrible.
I was gonna say there's worse
Terrible.
ways to die, but then I was like, are there though?
Are there drowning in a
Not really. Not
drowning
really.
in Malort seems like a bad time.
Yeah, there goes the team's leading scorer after a really nice, pleasant start. Also, Skylar Diggins is now hurt as well. I took a shot to the face during the Mercury game, came out immediately.
Thanks.
Jaquez though. Jaquez, some people question that draft pick. She looks pretty good.
Yeah, she's been good. I haven't actually watched as much Sky basketball as I've wanted to because League Pass, once again, is a joke. So has not been working very well for me. I've had to log in like 800 times a game. It's really annoying.
Like we said with shooting, how shooting translates, rebounding does too.
Yeah,
And a
no,
wing who can go in there, fill in a bunch of gaps, play a bunch of positions, grab boards.
yeah.
She hasn't been
Well,
shooting a
especially
lot, but she's been making the shots that she's taking, which is also nice.
she's especially valuable when you have a gigantic center whose interest level
Huge.
wanes through the game. Love Camilla. I think she's got a lot of potential. But I'm also kind of reaching a point where I'm like, when does this potential start to translate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, we've seen it. You're murdering people in China. You're doing so good. And then you come here and we see it. You can do it. You're real big. You're real good at this. Good at this basketball thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, she doesn't want to be there. And you're like, do you like basketball? Were you blink twice if you need help? Are you being held hostage? Like, what's going on? And it happens within like play to play. So I don't really know what the hell is going on. It's not like it just happens exclusively after like a mistake or something and it's just like a confidence issue.
Maybe.
I am genuinely at a loss. I have no idea. Like she was not this player at South Carolina, so I'm real confused.
Oh, I mean, not playing against future accountants anymore. No, but but in all seriousness, I think she's still trying to figure out like her place in the hierarchy, when it's time to
Yeah.
take over, when it's time
I
to,
think so too.
float around and look for offensive rebounds. I think she's still kind of having some trouble with that. Because, I mean, she has touch in the
Yeah.
paint. And it's not like she's just throwing rocks at
She's
the
a very
rim.
talented player. Like she's
Yeah.
exceptionally talented. She has more skill than her haters will ever like let you believe. Because the thing is that of course, obviously, there's like all the losers on Twitter who are like, just South Carolina haters. So they're like, well, Camilla's just big. And I'm like, I mean, there's an element to that. She's fucking gigantic. But she has touch. Like she's a very talented
Yeah.
player. She can move her feet. Like she was very good in there at South Carolina.
Most players her height are just chucking that shit in the general direction
she's
of the
very
backboard.
good.
Like, she actually has touch.
Talent. I just can't quite figure out why her effort. And I don't know if was her motor an issue at South Carolina and people just didn't know it as much because you have a coach like Don, and I imagine you just can't have a bad motor if you play for a coach like Don. I don't know.
I feel like one of the things
This is
with
2 coaches now.
the Sky makeover is that she's surrounded by more talent than she has been in the pros, but there's also a little bit of an issue. Well, it may change a little bit with Rakia out, but she's not one of the 2 best scorers on the team.
It never was though.
You've got Sky Diggins and you had Rakia Jackson, but even now, Tasha Cloud is bound to shoot some shots. She is a confident player. Touches may come and go, shooting opportunities may come and go, and I don't know if she is that player necessarily who's like, give me the ball, I am the number one. I think she may have to now, but I think she's still adjusting to like being that person and
I don't
taking
think she ever
charge of
really
the offense.
I don't think she ever was that player at South Carolina. She's always been surrounded by a lot of talent, so she's never
Yeah.
exactly been like the main scorer. I think in college you just kind of become that by nature of being so fucking
Yeah.
big. Frankly, like college is different when, again, like the future accountants thing is obviously a joke, and like she played in the SEC, so she played against a
Right.
lot of great talent. But like
Right.
she's also just bigger than most people in college.
Yeah.
By nature of that. But when you're in the pros, obviously every 6-foot person who can play basketball is in the league. So it's harder. But I don't think she's ever really she was never even billed as a lead scorer. So it's not even why she was drafted. It's like she doesn't get as many rebounds as she should for how big she is.
Yeah.
Like it's actually those kinds of plays that are more concerning to me. It's really not her scoring. I actually couldn't care less. Like I never even thought of drafting her as a scorer. It would be nice if she developed that because, she's huge and it's helpful to have your 6'7" center be very good at that. That was never really the entire reason. It was just like, damn, we can have like a sick defense now. But she also doesn't rebound.
Yeah, I think one of the tough things about going to one of those really, really big programs like a South Carolina is that you might not get to spend a lot of time in that true number one role, even if you are number one. People talk about this a lot this is kind of like the inverse effect that people talk about with Calipari's Kentucky teams with those guards. A lot of those guards became really well-rounded players, 5-star, McDonald's All-American guys who came in, presumed top 10 pick, but they were surrounded by so much talent that they had to learn to play off the ball. They had to learn to play team defense, so on and so forth. Like guys like Devin Booker came off the fucking bench.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they had to learn how to do all this other stuff. But the flip side of that is you don't necessarily get that experience of I'm getting the ball every play, I'm
Yeah.
being double teamed all the time, and I got to figure out a way to work through that. If she'd stayed at Syracuse longer, she scored 13.6 a game as a freshman at Syracuse, and then single digits the next 2 years to South Carolina
Yeah.
before jumping back up to 14 again as a senior to South Carolina. I think if she'd stayed at a smaller program for a little bit longer, she might have had a little bit more of that, like, might have had more time to develop that everyone get out my way,
Alpha
I'm fucking them
scorer.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be the only one scoring kinda
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think she left Syracuse, there was a lot of shit that went down at Syracuse around the time she transferred. It was, I
Yeah.
think, around their coaching issue, that whole scandalish thing, I think, was around that time. But I just yeah, had she gone to a smaller program. 'Cause, yeah, when you go to a big program like South Carolina, like and you see this, right, you sacrifice a lot. Like, I mean, you see this with even, like, the guards too, like Tanaya Latson, right? She sacrificed from being the top scorer in the entire NCAA to being not that, to go to South Carolina to win. Unfortunately, didn't win, but at least got to go to the Final Four or to the final. So, it's, like, something, I guess, but yeah, you do sacrifice, definitely. I think it's probably good for players, though, who are being projected to be drafted that high to have both experiences, and it is too bad she did not get to have that experience because it's gonna take some time. It's just unfortunate because she also, I think, got lost in the Angel Reese of it all because they were drafted at the same time, and yeah, that could not have been easy either, and I imagine there was also some stuff they also didn't exactly, like, love each other from their time in college either, not that to say that they had any issue with each other because they didn't, but I just
Yeah.
feel like there was a lot going on with that whole
Yeah.
situation. There was just, like, a lot of noise. Kennedy Carter was also still there when she got drafted, so there was just, like, a lot going on in that Chicago locker room and still has been ever since, so I don't think that any of that really helps a young player either because when she goes overseas, she's, like, cooking. So I'm just like, "What is it that when you get to Chicago?"
Man, it's just something. Maybe it's partly coaching. Maybe it's her mentality or whatever. But she hasn't really been like taking the reins there. And I think they thought when they shipped out Angel Reese that she would just be
I
the
thought
paint
she would
scorer.
probably use that. I at least thought that maybe, like, that would be, some fuel to be that bit more dominant, but maybe you're right. Maybe she just never really got to develop that part of her game, and she doesn't know how. But
Yeah,
it
I mean,
also
there's
could
no
be
reason she couldn't have been putting up like Ayoka Lee numbers in college if she'd stayed at like a
I
program of
also
like that level.
can't imagine it's very easy to demand the ball from a player like Skylar Diggins-Smith either.
I think it's probably very hard to demand anything from Skylar Diggins. A lot of
Precisely.
people would be scared to ask, let alone
Mhm.
tell.
Yeah, precisely. Especially, it's kinda hard to be a big asking a guard to pass you the ball when you made a mistake on the previous players. She's just like that
Yeah,
kind of player who's gonna
yeah,
remember every tiny thing you fucked up
yeah,
and punish you for it, so I can't imagine that's very easy
yeah.
either, but I'm wishing Rakia all the best. Rakia's been through a lot in the last year.
Man, a lot,
Feeling
a
really
lot,
bad for her, that's really shitty,
a
everything that
lot, a lot.
happened with her dumbass ex-boyfriend. I hope he's her ex. Anyways, and also now this injury. The good news is for her, she's got lots of people in her corner because she's at the end of her process, and she also there's another Sky player who's just coming off an ACL injury. So she's got people who've been through it who can also guide her, and she's got people in her corner, but it still really blows because she was playing so good. And it
Yeah.
was so nice to have fleeced the Sparks, and it was working for us.
A trade that went in the Sky's favor.
For once, we didn't give away the good assets because it kills me watching the baby Mystics crushing it, knowing that we built that team.
Yeah,
Could have been us.
yeah.
Could have been us in Illinois, but no. And I'm not even in Illinois, but anyway, that's beside the point. Could have been us, but instead,
It was close.
the baby
Almost.
Mystics. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? Any other WNBA notes, or should we go to the MNBA?
I just like to, before we move on, quickly note that the only team to beat the Sky so far this season is the Phoenix Mercury. Anyway, on to the NBA.
Yeah. I think a lot more teams are gonna beat the Sky now, unfortunately, with these injuries.
Hey, have some faith. Have some faith.
I mean, we have a pretty decent roster, but I just feel
Yep.
like that's tough. That's a tough loss. Yeah, Ricky is a tough loss. Yes. Anyways, NBA. Well, I guess actually we
Yeah,
should. Yeah, no,
it's conference
NBA.
finals season. Conference finals, 4 teams
Yeah,
left. We're gonna find out who makes it all the way to the finals. And there's been a couple of teams that went out. Unfortunately, went out SAG
I was about to say, do you
in the
want to do a quick
semifinals.
postmortem on some of the teams that are out now
Yeah,
before we jump into
yeah.
like conference finals and stuff? Okay. Yeah. So the
Sixers
Pistons.
frauds. I hate to say
I knew that. We knew that. It's time to smoke the Nick Nurse pack.
man. And it don't
Absolutely
even get you high, man. It's not even potent. But,
no, just
nah,
oregano.
the Sixers got swept by the Knicks and got absolutely fucking destroyed in a couple of those games. Embiid, whatever magic he used to, like, will himself through the Celtics series and eviscerate his hated rival, clearly ran out in the semifinals because they just targeted him over and over. He couldn't
Yeah.
move. He still got buckets, though. Embiid was whatever pain he's playing through, I mean, I applaud him for that. That's incredibly
Yeah.
impressive, and he was still getting buckets, but at the end of the day, they were just like, "Hey, every play on offense is just where's Embiid at? Pick and roll at him, bucket."
It's easy to clown on Embiid, and Lord knows I love to do it, it's good time, but I will always give him credit for being a tough motherfucker because he plays through a lot of shit, and, like, not
He
everything
came back from an appendectomy, like,
like
2 weeks before he returned to play the Celtics, like, that's
like, I hate the
crazy.
Celtics too, but I can't say that I would have gone out of my way to come back for that, like,
Hey, man, I've been
now
like, "Good
go on and
luck,"
avenge them without me.
you
Thank
know
you.
what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be there for
I'll
the
send y'all some new shoes, like, I'm not not
yeah,
playing in that series, fuck that.
wish you luck.
Yeah,
Go avenge
no.
go avenge them for me, thank you.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
yeah.
it felt up, but the Celtics collapsing, good time. That does bring us still brings me some joy, still
Now
brings some
turn Jaylen Brown into a streamer.
yeah.
That's what Embiid did. He gave that man a new
Twitch
career.
really hates to see Jaylen Brown coming right now, damn.
Made him an influencer.
And
Crazy.
Stephen A. hates to see Jaylen Brown coming on a Twitch stream right
Oh
now.
man, he said fuck Stephen A, B, and C.
Dude,
I was like,
that
that
was
was
so
pretty
funny.
good. I'm not gonna lie.
Lord, that was
It was
hilarious.
pretty good.
Yeah. He's also not wrong, he may have a point. Stephen A. is the worst. He is a cancer on the sports society, but, yeah, the Sixers are definite frauds, went outside. Timberwolves, kind of Julius Randle, kind of a fraud.
Yeah, and that was one of those ones where I can't remember which player it was. It might have been Jaden McDaniels just talking about like guys
Yeah, it was
being more
Jaden, it was Jaden.
selfless and not being moody, when things
It
aren't
was
going well
Jaden.
from the offensive end, keeping your energy up. And like every single Knicks fan was like, we've been telling y'all this for like
No,
five
I know who
years.
that's about. Yeah.
They didn't have to say no names, but I mean, I love Julius Randle. I think he seems like an awesome guy, but the frustration with him is that if he's not having a good game on offense, he ain't gonna have a good game nowhere else. And his stats in that elimination game, it wasn't super clear that he participated in that game. Like you would be forgiven for forgetting that he played in that game.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole series actually, kind of forgot he was there. He did not have a
Yeah,
single good game. I don't even know if he really even had a good playoffs, if we're being honest. He didn't play particularly well against the Nuggets. He didn't actually
yeah,
play well against the Nuggets at all. Like the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets because the Nuggets just
yeah,
shat on themselves and Jaden McDaniels and Ayo Dosunmu and unfortunately to some extent Bones Highland and like a few players like that were kind of heroic. But
yeah.
like Julius Randle did not actually Rudy Gobert deserves an outsized amount of credit for that Nugget series, but like
Rudy was awesome in that series.
Randall didn't do a goddamn thing against the Nuggets either, so he played like ass.
Elimination game at home. Randall and Gobert combined for 3 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 assist.
Yikes.
No steals and no blocks. They
See,
lost by 30 points on their own court with a team that is they got to be capped out, right? That's an expensive ass team with all them salaries. Like, I don't know what the avenue
they
is for
didn't
them to
cheat.
improve. I don't know if they
They
can
have
convince
to
themselves
trade,
that Giannis is
um,
coming via trade, but who would they trade that the Bucks would want that badly?
not for Giannis, but if they had to make a trade, one I've seen sort of floated a little bit is Rudy Gobert because people would be interested in Rudy Gobert. I think he played
Mm.
well enough in playoffs overall because the thing about him not scoring a lot in an elimination game is that you don't expect that of Rudy
It's not
Gobert.
his
That's
job.
never
It's
been
not
his
his job.
strong. The no blocks, all that kind of stuff is a bit different. It's jarring, but then you take into account who the opponent is and you're like, okay, fair enough. You're probably
Yeah,
not getting blocks against Wemby, let's be real. That's just not gonna happen.
it ain't easy.
No, I think it's weird because I think guards have an easier time blocking players like Wemby and Chet because when they bring the ball down to shoot, like
Yeah,
their
that's
catch
the
point
time. That's
is
the time
actually you just have
on
to
the
swipe
gather.
at it. Yeah, or when they're coming up, but like it's otherwise it's way harder to block their shots. So Gobert, I feel like has the most value of the entire Wolves front court, but then at the same time, it's like, what's the use in trading Gobert because he's your best player in the front. He's also
Yeah.
the straw that stirs the drink on defense. Like he's the reason your defense can be what it is because he honestly is still pretty incredible. It's hard to see what he does and view it as incredible as what Wemby does because Wemby's literally guarding like 7 places at once. Gobert can still guard a whole pick and roll by himself. Like he's still a very talented player, and as much as I love to make fun of him, he's a very talented player. So he would have the most value, but it's just like, why also would you trade him? And he's never going to get back what you paid for him. So that's the
Yeah.
other thing, the sunk cost of it all.
They gotta find some kind of way to keep the Sumu. I think he showed really
They
well
have
in
to keep
most of those
Io. Yeah.
playoffs. I
Especially
think
with Bronco being down now.
Anthony Edwards coming back from that knee and powering them to the end of their first round series and having some really strong games against the Spurs, against that defense with all those athletes on it. I mean, I think he did good for his reputation, but yeah, I think the flexibility to improve the roster beyond what it is gonna be limited. It's gonna be interesting to see how the Wolves retool because I think even when you factor in the fact that Anthony Edwards and Ayo Dosunmu weren't 100% at the end of that series, I don't think there's any way you can come away with that and think that bringing that back is gonna beat the Spurs.
No. Well, that's the thing. They would need healthy Ayo, healthy Ant, healthy Dante,
And he's probably gonna miss all of next season.
whoever the hell else got injured. They need Naz Reid to not be a shell of himself. They need, they needed Julius Randle to be the Julius Randle that in the middle of the season looked like maybe they won the cat trade.
They need Bubble Julius, man. Bubble Julius was like the greatest player I've ever seen.
But even earlier in the season, Zach Lowe even was like, he had hit the gavel, like the Wolves won the cat trade. And then now it's like, okay, I might have lied. Maybe they didn't, and it's tough. I don't really know what the Wolves do, but it's other than petition extremely hard to the NBA to get moved into the Eastern Conference.
Cat, for all his frustrations, has been in 3 straight conference championship series.
Yeah. Well, but honestly, but genuinely, I don't know what the Wolves do other than beg the NBA to get to go to the East.
Yeah, that realignment. So I saw people on Twitter yelling at the Lakers to move to the East, man. They said, no, we're watching this Thunder Spurs series right now. We want no part of this.
No, it's true.
Move to the East.
Every Western team is going to apply for realignment because they're like,
Hey,
fuck this.
go be the Minneapolis Lakers again. Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason to stay in the West right now.
No,
That shit is
true.
scary. That shit is scary. Like
Yeah,
it's like another level of basketball
I was
happening in that
listening
series
to
right now.
Zach Lowe and Rob Mahoney this morning, and they did some winners and losers of the playoffs, and they said a loser was Anthony Edwards, and not because Anthony Edwards played poorly or anything. It was just because having to watch what's happening between Oklahoma and San Antonio can't feel good as an ascendant young star in the Western Conference.
Yeah, it's like one of those movies where there's like a kaiju type monster. But there's like humans on the ground fighting, and it's like you have a human conflict, and it's dramatic and whatever. And you look up and you see 2 like titans fighting each other, and you're like, wait, we're not really affecting the outcome of this situation
isn't
at all.
anything.
What are these foot soldiers here for?
Who the
Just
fuck are
like
you?
being relatable for the audience. Like this is the real battle with Godzilla and Mothra. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah. Well, it's
Why do
even
we
like
have soldiers with guns? This is stupid.
it's even like in Avengers when it's like they realize they're like, wait, kill the dude up there.
Yeah, who invited
All of
Hawkeye?
it.
Like Iron Man is boxing right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right. Kill the thing in the sky, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, actually, to be honest, every great invading Earth movie has that scene because Independence Day has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic.
Blew up the White House. Good times. The Thunder and the Lakers. Yeah, the Thunder waltzed through the first 2 rounds. They drew the Suns, beat the shit out of them, beat the shit out of the
Enough try
Lakers.
hard.
And the Lakers thing was interesting because, they gave them a couple of good like first halves, but they were only going to go so far without Luka. And even with Luka, it was probably, let's be honest, the Lakers have like 4.5 good players. So they didn't really get tested. And I think that first game against the Spurs being a fucking double overtime marathon where they were matching them big play for big play was something else, man. Something else. Wemby went stupid in that game. I mean, I don't even understand how to describe what that young man was out there doing. I mean, 22 years old, he went for 41, 24, and 3 blocks against the best defense, against the best team in the league. He was whooping their ass.
That game was
And he relished in that shit. He relished in every bucket he scored around Chet. Every time he dunked around Chet or on Chet, he loved it. When he forced a miss from Shea, loved it. Like he relished in that shit.
He hates Chet so much, and it makes me so happy. I actually think he hates the state of Oklahoma as a whole. I think
Probably.
Oklahoma probably represents everything about America that he doesn't like.
I think Chet might. I saw somebody say on Twitter, this guy Cordell on Twitter said Chet was wearing do-rags and eating oxtail while Wemby was training with the monks and Hakeem.
Yeah.
I also saw somebody call him Chet Yahoo. Chet's Q rating is not high on NBA Twitter, that is for sure. He's been getting cooked the whole day. But like at the same time, if the other team star player is 7'4", you're the only above 7 foot dude on your team, and you're a coach, like I get the strategy element of using him as a free safety and just like sweeping up stuff from the back. But if your coach sees you, the only person who's in his size class, and does not trust you to guard him and just and they watches as he puts up 40, 40 plus and 20 plus rebounds, 9 offensive boards.
Yep.
And the coach says, I would rather let fucking Alex Caruso be the one boxing him out and getting destroyed in the offensive glass. I would rather that than have Chet on him. Does that say much for the coach's confidence in Chet? For somebody who was like a top 3 defensive player of the year guy, like, you got to at least try him out on the dude who looks like him, right? Like, you would at least give it a go.
I think it'll happen. Like, I think they're doing what every team does, which is put a wing on Wemby so you can kind of like switch the pick and roll combinations.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really what's going on. I don't really think it's completely like an indictment of Chet.
I think they 4D chessed themselves a little bit, though.
Well,
I think they outsmarted themselves.
I think so a little bit, but I think that's probably where the adjustment's going to come from. I think Dagnall probably just got a little cute. And is probably going to eventually just have to go to all right, Chet, fight for your life out there, buddy.
Yeah.
See what you got. You're the only other slender man we got, so you vaguely look like a scarecrow, so get out there. That's, I think, going to have to happen. I think it'll happen eventually. It always does in the end. I feel like it always does in the playoffs. At the end of the day, it comes down to, like, who's a bitch and who isn't, right? So... at the end of the day. And a big part of that is who you guard. And I feel like that's going to happen eventually. I think that they'll have to guard each other because there's really no other choice. But I do think that it's just a getting cute matchup kind of thing. I think they're trying to make Wemby's life, or not Wemby, sorry. They're trying to make Shea's life easier as much as possible.
Oh, when you say Shea, I was thinking you were Frenchifying Chet's name at first. I was like, I love it.
Ew.
That's what they're calling him in the hate tweets in France. They're calling him Shea. Calling him.
Oh, Lord. Ugh. Anyways, God, I feel gross now. No, but Shea hasn't, like, Shea was not good last night at all, and a big part of that was Wemby. But you could tell he's pretty rattled. He's not getting open looks. He's not, I'm sure he was cooking it. I don't know. I didn't check Instagram to see his corny shit.
He had a productive game, but not an efficient one.
He wasn't the best player on the court, and he needed to be, and that is his
he
job
definitely was
as the
not.
MVP.
And it was, you could see the frustration a little bit because the last 2 plays of regulation were both Shea falling down after attempting a shot.
Yeah.
He got the call on at least one of them. I don't remember about the other one. You know, he saw some hardwood at the end of the end of regulation. They're trying to hunt for some of them calls.
It's funny. Okay, so I would like to defend Doris Burke here for a second. This is kind of, just stick with me. So I saw this Instagram reel that was like these 2 women. I can't remember the podcast, so whatever, sorry. But they were talking about how Doris Burke is like a mega style propagandist when it comes to talking about Shea as a grifter, and how, like, you know, the discourse about Shea as a grifter wasn't really a thing until last year in the finals when that's all Doris talked about. And it's like, I would like to defend Doris, and that yes, she might have been the first person to truly vocalize it, but like, it wasn't the first time it was happening. He did
Might have
not
been the first person in national media. He's been getting fried online for it forever.
I'm like, he's been doing this for a long time, and like, we all watched it last year. She just finally said the quiet part out loud. I would like to just defend Doris Burke on that.
People was calling him Al Shada, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like last season.
Yeah, so I was like, screw you, calling Doris Burke a mega style propagandist. Fuck you, first of all. How dare you put her in the same bracket as those people? But second, like, use your eyes. He pushes off on every single play. Like, I love Shea to death. Don't get me wrong. Like, Captain Canada, obviously, love him to death. When he's in Canada, red and white, hell yeah, brother, you push off all day long. However, like, he does it. I can't deny it. Like, just like I cannot deny that Lou Dort is a human fucking bowling ball who will take you out at the knees. And again, when he's on your team, that's fun. Go ahead and hurt the other players. I don't give a shit. But it sucks to watch as when he's not on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, one of the things that getting toward like the overtime periods in that game, you know, one thing we talked about going into this playoffs was, you know, Wemby had been incredibly productive during the regular season on like less than 30 minutes a game. And his, you know, the box plus minus all that shit is just outrageous with him. Like when he's on the court, the Spurs are ridiculous. When he's not, they're fine. What would happen in the playoffs when Wemby plays 36 plus minutes a night?
Yeah.
We saw 48 minutes of him in this one. And I think some people worried about the stamina, especially at his size and the energy that he expands on both ends. Overtime, down late, he pulls up from the logo. And I opened my mouth when I saw that shit because I was like, there's no fucking way he's shooting this shit. You know what I mean? It was such an audacious shot, and it was cash. It just went in, and his teammates looked at him like people was looking at Michael Jackson in the 80s, man. Like, they were in awe. Like, the reactions on the Spurs bench was just like, oh my God, like he's the dude. And then in the next overtime, driving past people and dunking on them. Pump fake, one dribble.
Yeah.
One dribble from the 3-point line and a dunk.
I mean, he worked out with monks. I don't know why anyone was really questioning his stamina. Let's be real. But
He was
I mean,
running
I guess
mountains.
to be honest, like I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not surprised because it's pretty incredible. Like every time you think he does something cool, he does something even cooler 5 minutes later, and you're like, "Bleh."
The Spurs had just 20, they had 23 turnovers and 25 assists. Horrible.
Yeah,
Stephon Castle had 11 turnovers by himself.
not a great game.
The Spurs only shot 30% from 3. They still won on the road
Yeah,
against the Thunder. And I think if you're a Thunder fan, obviously it's way too early to be in panic mode. It's one game, whatever. You may have ceded home court advantage, but it's just one game. But I think in the back of your mind, you're like, they shot like ass. They gave us the ball 23 times and they still beat us in our house. I would be a little concerned. Maybe I'm easily stressed as a person, but I would be a little bit
yeah.
concerned.
Well, I mean, I also am an easily anxious, excitable sports fan. It's not a good combination.
Yeah.
I've literally gotten notifications from my Apple Watch being like, "Your heartbeat is exceedingly high right now." I'm like, "Shut
This is
up,
why I don't
Apple."
buy those. I don't want to know.
Yeah, like, it's
I
not
can
ideal.
feel it. I don't need to know.
Yeah, I feel this in my chest right now. I'm aware, Apple. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that I would be nervous, but at the same time, I also think there's a number of cases where, like, the Spurs also like, there's also a number of places where, like, the Thunder probably also missed some shots that they probably would have normally gotten or missed something. Like, there's always, like, I don't think that they got beat, like, that badly. Like, I don't think there was anything in this game that suggested, like, "Oh my god, like, you're in for a long like, you're gonna get your asses beat now."
Yeah.
But I do think that it's gonna be a long series. Like, I do think it's gonna be hard for them. I just think that they're gonna have to I think the hardest thing for the Thunder literally is just gonna have to be whether they can keep their composure. Like, can you get smacked in the mouth and not capitulate? Because, like, I do think that they, with some adjustments that they can make, because they're a very deep team, and I'm not gonna write them off yet. Like, I'm not gonna anoint the Spurs just yet. They're obviously incredible, but
Yeah.
like, and they've beaten the Thunder plenty of times. But that was one game, and there is like, it is a whole series, and the Thunder have been here before, at least, right?
Yeah.
They struggled last year in the playoffs too. It's not like they had an easy run to the finals. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
how they respond, but I think there's, like, some hope if you're a Thunder fan. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's all hopeless,
Oh
but I
yeah.
do think that
I think there's a level of concern in the back of their minds. I
for
don't think
sure.
they should be unconfident, but
Yeah,
I do think I would see that game and be like, because if you told me that Alex Caruso was gonna hit 8 threes and
and
score
you'd lose.
31 points and y'all
Yeah.
would lose, I would have been like, huh? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
I would agree with that.
They'd be like, did J-Dub not come back? And I'd be like, no. J-Dub
He
came
was
back and
there.
scored
Yeah,
26 points. And they'd be like, and Caruso got 31? I'd be like, yeah. They say, so we won by 30, right? And I'd be like, well,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
actually, you didn't.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
Who knows? Basketball's weird. The playoffs can be really strange. The Spurs' whole strategy was just like, let Caruso shoot that shit as many times as he wants. And he really made them pay for it. They still stuck with it. And they almost got the win because of that shit. Caruso was shooting like fucking,
Yeah.
looked like clay.
And that's the thing, like, at some point, the game that the Spurs had, because that's the other thing, while you can say that, yes, like, we can sit here and say that as a fan, you should be nervous because they had a terrible game and they still won, like, but at the same time, the Spurs had a terrible game and they won, but, like, it's not always gonna go that way. Like, very few times is your lead guard gonna have 11 straight, like, 11 turnovers for one
Spurs
player.
didn't even have De'Aaron Fox in that game. I think that's the
Yeah.
other thing. That's like,
So, like, I mean, that part for sure, but it's, like, very rarely are you gonna have a team that has that many turnovers and still win.
yeah,
And, like, if a few things had just bounced differently, they wouldn't have even had to go to overtime in the first place, and that's where they kind
yeah,
of really got beat, right? So I feel like this series is gonna be basketball heaven, frankly, like, as an
yeah,
uninvested fan.
yeah.
I'm just excited for good basketball now.
It's good fucking hoops.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And I feel like I'm nervous about the other series being a potential eyesore because the Cleveland Cavaliers are just not entertaining. I just don't wanna watch them play basketball anymore. Why do I have to be subjected to more Jim Harden? Why?
I
Why,
think
Detroit? Why did you do this to me, Pistons? Fuck.
I think before we get back to the Pistons, I do want to shout out
I can't
Dylan
do it.
Harper, who I think
I love
is
Dylan Harper.
I think he's a special player. Like I know that like the stats or whatever. Like I know he didn't shoot particularly well from 3 last game. He went 1 for 7, just 7 of 13 inside the arc. Going up against another one team in the league, 11 rebounds, assists, 7 steals,
Crazy.
and just the way he attacks the rim, smoothness of the handle, the variety of angles and adjustments he can make and finish without fucking it up. It just feels very natural. It's such a cool player too, and the whole story with like his mom coaching him and stuff like that, texting him after games because she's a former D1 player at University of New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. It's super dope, man. Dylan Harper is like a kind of a throwback player in a lot of ways. The attack the rim first kind of guard who likes to get downhill, likes to use his handle. He's got a very advanced handle. He's just so cool to watch. There's a
Well,
little bit
also
of
having
Manu
his
in him.
father his
Manu
father's
loves him.
Ron Harper, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. On top of his mother is awesome, his mom's, like, amazing coach, all that, and his father is Ron Harper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's real fucking good. I love Dylan Harper, he's great. He's been really fun. His reaction too,
A
his face
rookie, man.
reaction, he's going to steal Josh Hart's face card, like,
Yeah, yeah.
reaction.
He's very giftable, very giftable.
He's the heir apparent for sure.
A rookie playing 47 minutes in a conference finals game. The Spurs started the youngest starting lineup in conference finals history in that last game,
Crazy.
and they won on the road.
Yeah.
Like, that's the mental toughness. It's not just that they have talented young guys, they got guys with serious mental toughness who are just not scared of some of these moments. Some of these
I
guys, some of the shots they made late, some of the plays they made late defensively. I mean, this is a team that's playing connected. This is a team that they seem to like each other too, which is super dope.
yeah.
It's just a super cool team to watch. The Spurs have gifted us a lot of great basketball
Have.
in my lifetime. I'm old enough to remember when they were fucking boring in the first half of the Duncan dynasty, when it was just throw it down low, play some defense, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then we saw that beautiful early 2010s
Ugh.
team with the ball and player movement and like all the cool passing and shit. And then now this team, it's a very different sort of team. Everyone is downhill, aggressiveness,
Yeah.
attack the basket.
It's
It's a
actually
very
funny,
different type of
more of
game,
their
but it's
shooting
very,
more of their
yeah.
shooting comes from their front court than their back court.
Yeah, they're just super aesthetically pleasing to watch. A bunch of young dudes who are like, I want to dunk on you. I want to take you across from me. I want to take you off the dribble and I want to jam in your face. I just love that mentality. And there's so many young players who settle for the cute shot. And like the Spurs don't have a lot of that in them. There's not a lot of guys who are like, I'm gonna do some cute shit and hit the step back three or whatever. That's not their bread and butter. They want to get at you. And I love watching them play.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. Intrusive thought that I keep having is, like, I really hope that the Spurs, like an intrusive thought I keep having is that, like, the Spurs team, like, they feel kind of like a trap in the sense that, like, they're so young that, like, development is not linear, and I have to remind myself that, like, no matter what happens next year, whether they're equally as good or it just isn't a good season for any variety of reasons, it's like, this is a good team. This will be fine. But my intrusive thought is just always like, development's not linear. That could all come
Yeah.
crashing down. And I hate having that intrusive thought, but it's there. Like I hate it. I hate that pessimistic, like I hate that, but it happens. However, they do have so many good players, like just the number of good players on the roster. And I think that they're kind of proving again that draft strategy we talked about in relation to the W, where it's like you can just double down on having multiple good guards, or you can have multiple good players at the same position. It's okay, you'll figure it out. Like,
Yeah,
and if you
they'll find
don't,
a
you
way.
can always trade one of them away. That's the beauty of having really good players, because you can either play them or you can trade them for other good stuff that'll help you. So it kind of works out one way or another, because at the end of the day, people will always trade for potential.
Yeah,
So if it's like, you can't find playing time for your two players that overlap, well, one of them is going to have trade value because people will always have like potential to bet
yeah.
on.
If it somehow didn't coalesce, you could always call the Wizards or the Hawks or some shit and make
100%.
something happen.
Hey, look at this shiny top 5 overall, like this shiny former
Right.
top 5 pick. Like, come get him. You need talent, right? Any quick thoughts on so by the time this airs, Cavs Knicks will have been done, but is there anything you're kind of looking forward to seeing tonight when this game happens or in this series? Just some quick thoughts, 'cause
I
we don't need to spend a ton of time on it, honestly.
I haven't seen word yet, but I am hoping to see a healthy OG Anunoby hamstring. That would make me very happy. I would
That'd
also
be big.
love to see if the Knicks can play, because they've been off for a minute. Pistons, the Cavs went to 7. The Knicks had a really, really long break, like over a week break
Do you
between
think rest is
series.
an issue for them?
I I I'm not I wanted that break for them because I wanted to see
They need
guys
it.
heal.
Yeah,
Josh Hart
healthy.
has a hand injury, OG has the hamstring, Jalen's tweaked his ankle, Cat's been hit 100,000 different ways. But I would love to see that level of defensive intensity they showed in
Yeah.
that last series, because
Yeah.
that's something the Knicks have kind of struggled with during the season, and they
Yeah.
had like 7 straight games of it in the playoffs where they were
Yeah.
just locked in on a string defensively. I would love to see that from them again. I think Cleveland is a tougher team to guard in a lot of ways than the Pistons would have been. Even though the Pistons gave us more trouble in the regular season, I think in some ways the Cavs are harder to defend just because they have more ball handling,
Yeah.
more shooting. But they're bigs. They have 2 bigs who can do some stuff as opposed to just one, or one at a time more so for the Pistons. But I do think offensively playing Cleveland will be easier for the Knicks than the Pistons would have been. And so I think we could see a high scoring series potentially, especially if the Knicks aren't immediately able to snap back into that defensive mode. But I think they should be reasonably comfortable favorites in this one. I think they should get it done in 5 or 6. If they don't, you didn't hear me say this, but I do think that something about Cleveland, I know they advanced despite Harden having a pretty bad game 7, but I don't think you can get away with that against a team that actually has more than one player that can score the ball. I
I
think
think
there's
I
some
think
stuff that Cleveland got away with against the Pistons that they won't be able to get away with
well, they got away
against
with
a
the
team with more
fact
balance.
yeah, the Cavaliers got away with not having to have real offense
Yeah.
for most of the series,
Yeah.
which they can't do against the Knicks because the Knicks can actually score.
They got away with it against the Raptors too, where, the Raptors obviously have their offensive limitations. Cleveland got away with some things in that series as well. I think the Knicks just
Actually really
have
pisses me off
more
because
juice
I
on
really
offense.
it really pisses me off because I think the Raptors probably we could have definitely gotten past the Pistons. I feel pretty
Probably.
confident. I feel pretty confident we could have gotten past the Pistons or at least given them, like, a very good series. I do think we would have gotten smoked by the Knicks no matter what happened,
Yeah.
but I genuinely think there was a path to the conference finals.
Raptors, Pistons would have made my eyes bleed, but I do think that either team could have won that series.
Actually, I think Raptors Pistons would have been more interesting than Pistons Cavs was, weirdly.
I think it would have been interesting narratively. I think it would have been disgusting to
I
watch.
actually think
would
I
have
think
been
it actually would have been more entertaining to watch than we think because the Raptors somehow against Detroit, like, learn how to shoot, so their offense somehow improves. Also would have been
Yeah.
fun from, like, a playoff perspective just because there would have basically been 2 home courts for Raptors fans, so that would have been helpful, but
Oh, you
anywho,
don't think the Pistons fans would you think they would have got Knicks to, like the Sixers did?
I think there's potential because people are priced out at home in Toronto, and Canadians
Yeah.
with money will travel.
Detroit's not that far. I don't think there would have been that many Detroiters at the Toronto games, but I
No.
think the other way around maybe. But I think Detroit would have showed up for the team. I think they would have
I think
protected
so
it all.
too, but I think
They
there
would
would
have
have been
showed up better
more
than the Sixers did. The Knicks took that shit
I think there would
over.
have been but I do think it would have been closer to the Knicks
Yeah.
situation than it would have been to, like, a normal because normal
Okay.
Pistons games, Raptors fans definitely start to overtake the crowd, like
Yeah.
and
Probably
their
because
team
there's a bunch in Windsor, I bet.
well, there is, but even just people from Toronto, like, it's worth the
Yeah.
drive because you can't afford to go to
Yeah.
games in Toronto, and this is always
Shit, I
the
know
issue.
people who went to the ones in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, because you could literally it's
Yeah.
a 3-hour drive, and you could get a ticket for $30.
Yeah.
Even though with the gas prices the way they are, it's cheaper to go there. Like, honestly, it's fucked, actually. But anyway. Yeah, so, I don't know, I don't really have any desire to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers play more basketball, but here we are. They're just not fun to watch. There's nothing about them that I enjoy. Like, there's nothing enjoyable about them. I don't even find watching Donovan Mitchell enjoyable anymore. I don't know what it is. I think it just feels like a very your turn, my turn offense. Evan
Little
Mobley
bit.
is a fraud. Fraudulent. Absolute fraud. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn. Tough.
Yeah.
Hate to
Mhm.
see it.
Yeah. Scotty Barnes
Hate to
is
see it.
definitely
I like
made
Jared
himself
Allen though. I do fuck
I
with Jared
I
Allen. He
like
seems
Jared
cool.
Allen. He's fun.
He seems
Yeah.
cool.
Seems like a
He's
decent
like a
enough
nice dude.
yeah, he seems fine.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I saw him doing High School Musical dances at on the internet the other day. I think we got him. I think we'll be all right.
He has
I
famously
might
been
be
quoted
wrong, but I think we got him.
he has famously been quoted as saying the lights were pretty bright in the playoffs, so
That was against the
that
Knicks. That
yeah,
was when Mitchell Robinson stuffed him into a trash can. But he's not our starting center anymore, so that dynamic could change a little bit. We're a little bit less overwhelmingly
and
physical because Mitch isn't playing like that
and
yet.
Jared Allen's definitely had some more experience now too, so
Yeah. He looked good at the end of that series for sure.
he did. Even when Jalen Duren was starting to look like himself a little bit by the end too. I would say that Allen definitely outplayed him. I think Evan Mobley is definitely gonna be a very big X factor in this series because obviously we know I think he's like an X factor for the Cavaliers in general because we know what the guards are gonna give them or not give them. Because my hot take is that Donovan Mitchell is basically just better James Harden in terms of his playoff performances.
I think that's a big part of why OG needs to be ready because I think if OG's not playing, there's gonna be a lot of minutes where Evan Mobley is assigned to like Josh Hart
Yeah.
and is just flying around doing help defense shit, trying to block stuff at the rim, etc. And it's gonna be like a Caruso thing where it's like, is Josh Hart gonna take 8, 9 threes in this game? You know what I mean? Or is he
Yeah.
gonna, sneak behind, cut, whatever? It'll become a very Josh Hart centric series,
I
which
also
I'm
think
okay with, but it's not
defensively
what I would want.
defensively, it's important because anybody the Knicks put, especially if they have OG, because like OG is not as tall, but he's very strong and he can easily
Yeah,
outmuscle Mobley. And if you can
easy.
outmuscle Mobley a little bit, he's cooked.
I've seen him
He
guard
doesn't.
Embiid, dude. Like
Well,
he's
yeah, like
fucking strong,
same.
dude.
My favorite thing when he was with the Raptors is watching him guard Jokic, and like it didn't go great, but it was like
Yeah.
he held zone. Like you
Guarding
can't
Jokic
expect
wasn't
better.
going great for anybody at that particular point in time.
No, and still kind of
No.
isn't. for the
No.
most part. But it was just like, I don't know, I think OG is also important because Evan Mobley is one of those people who, like, if you can outmuscle him a little bit, you can rattle him and he'll fall apart a little bit. Like, he
Yeah.
kinda the game, he's not a physical player. He's not like Scotty Barnes where he'll just go through you.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley is not that guy. I think there's a reason he's still not a full-time center, and I think it's that. He doesn't really like
Yeah.
I think he is doomed to be an Anthony Davis type player where he's always gonna wanna play the 4 because he doesn't like the physicality of the 5,
Yeah.
but he's better off playing as a 5, unfortunately.
You're better off on a team that allows him to play the 5 as well, I think. But I think the Cavs are just not constructed to use him in that way, unfortunately.
I also just don't think he's built for it. I really don't. Like, he just doesn't
A little bit
handle
of that too.
physicality. I don't think he handles physicality in the way that he needs to be a 5. Like, I think you could play
There's
I think you could play Scotty as a spot minute 5. He's a bit
Yeah.
short, but you could make it work. You could play him as a 5 and it would be fine. I
They
don't
used
think
to with
he could do
OG
that.
too.
Yeah,
We used
right?
OG at the 5 a few times
Exactly,
this
like, you
playoffs.
could do it. It's not ideal. It's gonna put you in some compromising positions, but you could do it just because of height. But they're strong enough players. But, like, Evan Mobley has, like, no physical interest in doing that. He is pretty
There's certain matchups where you definitely cannot play Mobley at the 5. Any team that has a really physically dominant center, you just can't.
No, because he's not trying to bang with them, like, and that's fine, I get it, but, like, at least, like, OG or something, like, or, Scotty, like, they can try. They
Yeah.
will try.
Yeah.
They're gonna be punished still, but they'll try. But
Yeah.
Evan doesn't seem to want that smoke, and, like, fair enough, honestly, I don't blame him. But that just seems to be the case a little bit, and I think Cleveland kinda has, like, a weird situation with him brewing because he's clearly too good to just, like, you can't give up on him, but I don't think he's becoming the player that they also drafted him to be, so I don't really
Yeah.
know what to do with that. Like, at least the Raptors after this playoff series know what they have in Scotty. It's like, we know exactly who Scotty Barnes is and what we need around him. Is
Right.
it easy to get those players? No, but at least you know what you need. I don't know if the Cavaliers know who Evan Mobley is still, even after this playoff run. And the fact that you went out to get James Harden also always felt like a bit of an indictment to me against players like Mobley because it's like, well, they clearly don't have the faith that he's going to become the scorer they need. And I mean, obviously you need other positions, you need guards, but just in general, that kind of always felt like a lack of confidence in
Yeah,
him.
it still feels wild to me that he's 24 because it feels like he's been around forever. Mobley still feels kind of like a mystery box to me, but
He's a child.
because this is
He's still a
his
baby.
5th season, but at the same, it felt like it had been like 7 seasons for some reason. But he's still only
Yeah,
24
he
years
came in the same
old.
year as Cade and Scotty. They're all
Yeah,
besties. I don't
it's
know.
about that time though. About
Yeah,
that time he should be entering his prime.
I don't think Mobley's a bust by any means, but I think maybe compared to like draft standards, perhaps you could have that conversation. I don't think he's a bad player, obviously,
Yeah.
but I just think that his ability to dominate a game does not seem to be there.
Yeah, the game plan is definitely going to be let Evan shoot
Yeah, and it can work.
and see if he can punish him.
And he can do it. He punished the Raptors in one game, and like it happens. But I also don't think it's a winning strategy for Cleveland by any means.
No, like if you can you do that 4 games out of 7?
Yeah. I
He
think the
shoots
Donovan
30. He shoots
Mitchell.
under 30% from 3. You know what
I
I mean?
think the
Like,
Donovan Mitchell Bowl is kind of an interesting storyline. Paths not taken for the Knicks, but I also think that they've played him enough now that it's kind of also not like an evergreen. It's just like evergreen content. It's not something that's like
yeah,
particularly relevant. It's kind of there.
I think it was something that media people wanted. I don't even know if it's necessarily something the team was angling for out after they got Brunson. I think before
Yeah.
it was something they very seriously looked at. But once they got JB, I don't think there was ever really a chance the Knicks were going to gamble on
Too
a
small guards.
Brunson Mitchell backcourt. Like that's
Too
a
small- too
combined.
small
Like that's an
guards,
average
small-
of 6'1" and a half. You know what I mean? Like
Two small guards who don't play defense seems like a great combination.
yeah, it's a little dicey. Dicey. Team be short as fuck. Now instead we can go 2 short guards with Deuce McBride, who's 6'1" but plays defense. So.
Exactly. Well, because that's the thing. If you're going to have a small backcourt, one of those players has to guard above their size. And that's where like the Raptors can get away with having a Jamal Shed with quickly is that Shed can guard up.
Yeah. He's a bulldog in that same kind of way. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my guy Deuce is kind of like football background type of dude.
Yeah.
Has that kind of like physicality to him.
Totally. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I don't know.
Shed
I'm
looks like a
really-
running back or a safety or some shit.
Like I'm excited for this series because it's the conference finals, but I'm like I'd be way more excited if it was Pistons Knicks. I just
that would be a war.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
That'd be tough. So just fight in the alley. I feel like that'd be a better way to solve it.
If we played the Pistons in the conference finals, NBA finals are a wrap for us. Like we wouldn't even.
Whoever won would just
It'd be
show
like The
up.
Walking Dead going into that series, man.
Whoever wins would be like the Black Knight from
Right, from Monty Python. Yeah.
Just like no arms, no legs. Like it's just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
We're fine.
It's like playing 5 Blue Dorts.
Basically 5 Desmond Banes. Just no arms.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's sad. I feel sad now. But anyway, who's not sad though? Jamal Mosley. He was not unemployed for very long.
No, now he has to
gonna-
coach one of the weirdest, most
Those
strangely
terrible cycles,
constructed,
like-
unstable franchises in the NBA. But you know, it's a job. Being an NBA head coach pays very well. Maybe he'll figure something out.
Got a sweet, sweet 5-year contract.
Maybe that's the place where we'll have a functioning offense is over in the Pelicans with
Well, now
whatever collection of players they have right
his
now.
job is to try and build a functional defense out of Jordan Poole and
And
whatever else
Zion Williamson.
and Zion Williamson and Derek Queen.
Oh, man.
Good luck to
Is there?
Jamal. Best of luck. Godspeed.
That's just such a weirdly built team. And they said they don't want to trade any of their key players. They don't want to trade Herb. They
Who
don't want to
knows?
trade Trey Murphy. They don't want to trade Zion. This is just what they got, I guess.
They're just doing them.
This is the team.
Yeah, they're just doing them down in New Orleans, just hoping their fans are too drunk to notice or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Life is so good out there. Why would you stress about basketball?
Yeah,
Mm.
they're just hoping that for most of the year they're paying attention to the Saints, who aren't a complete dumpster fire anymore.
Yeah, like you're having a barbecue, you know what I mean? Like you're not really stressing about if the Pelicans lost or not. Like you're having a good old time.
Yeah, yeah. You can get
Yeah.
beignets anytime you fucking want. Why would you care if the Pelicans win?
Man, uncle's making a gumbo. Like life is swell. We chilling.
Yeah, could be worse. It
I
could be
gotta get
worse.
back to New Orleans, man. I gotta.
Yeah, I gotta get there. But is there any other NBA thoughts you got? Any other WNBA thoughts you got? Any basketball or wine adjacent thoughts you got? However you like this mad
Not
hairy fellow.
pretty good wine, you know.
She's boozy.
Not
Not gonna lie.
not overwhelming for an allegedly muscular wine, which is nice. It's not gonna just like, have your face all like scrunched up or whatever, but it's pretty nice. There's some really weird description back here on the back of the bottle. It's a very, very intense, seductive spice dancing with the warmth of wood. Like it's a lot going on here.
The
But
warmth comes from the alcohol, of which there's plenty. There's a lot of alcohol in
yeah,
this wine.
yeah,
You can feel it.
yeah. This is one
But
for festivities.
yeah, I I don't think it's particularly balanced, but like it's not bad.
Accidental festivities. Like this is one of those ones where like we're just gonna have a couple glasses of wine and oh boy,
And
it's
now we're
party time.
drunk. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where this is gonna end up for people because, yeah, it's definitely very boozy in terms of like you can taste it because like anytime you drink wine and you like feel yourself like swallowing like after like because of saliva, that's
Hmm.
alcohol. That's how it plays in
Yep.
your mouth. And there's a lot of it here, which makes sense because Monastrell is a very they're all big. All the 3 grapes in this wine are all pretty big. It's not as tannic as I expected for these 3 grapes, so that was nice. That was a nice
Yeah.
little pleasant. The alcohol helps with that. Sure. I don't know. It's not like what I expected, to be honest. It's pretty good. I've had better. I was wanting some more richness. It's a little bit too alcoholic for me without a little
I
bit
would
of
love some more richness in my
I
life as
mean,
well.
yes,
Yeah.
if anyone wants to send us money, like literal money, I'd like to be richer. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anywho, the wine's like not bad. Where do you want to throw it on the old power rankings?
It's probably like 20-ish range. Like it's pretty good. It's not
I
like
feel like it's like for me, this is definitely it's below the last there's the Rioja, but it's above the Nero d'Avola, probably.
I think it's pretty fair. I had to taste
Yeah.
it again just to be sure.
Yeah, you know.
It had been a minute since my last sip. It is actually pretty potent. I almost forgot.
Mm-hmm.
On
It's
another
good.
note, people may have noticed the jersey behind me on the back wall. For those who cannot see us because they're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, where we are available for free. That is a Bukayo Saka jersey. Arsenal just won the Premier League today. I have been jumping for joy all afternoon. Got the Champions League final coming up soon. If we win it, y'all can't tell me shit.
Well,
I will
congratulations.
be.
Amazing. Congratulations. Oh, well, I hope the Knicks don't ruin your night.
I can keep one loss in perspective. If we lose the series, I'll be deeply sad though.
That would just be tragedy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I guess we should just wrap up then. So yeah, follow us at wineanddimepod on all the socials. Instagram, TikTok, AND.
We're on
Yeah.
Threads for those who were into that.
Rate, review, 5 stars, please. Yeah. Just leave us playing in the background. Send us to your friends. Just airdrop our podcast on people's phones, actually. That'd be pretty fun. If you wanna
Tell
just
your
walk
dog, tell your
around.
friends, tell your dogs, tell your parents.
Yeah, yeah. Leave it on. Actually, you know what? Leave it on for your dog in the background when you leave your house in the morning. Just like leave it playing in the background for your dog. Yeah. There you go. Your dog will be smarter.
Bet. Bet.
They'll know more.
Bet.
Yeah. But your dog will tell you everything you needed to know about wine and basketball when you get home. So
Yeah.
that's what you got to do. Anything else?
Y'all see y'all in a couple weeks. Yeah, it'd be around NBA Finals time.
Yeah,
It'd be close.
we'll have more to talk about NBA wise for sure. The WNBA will be more in full swing as well. So, yeah, we'll chat at you then.
Later.